Okay, Sydney, don't be mad. I know that's not the best way to start, but I'm just going to explain what happened to the podcast, and we're all going to be good. I accidentally dropped the podcast in a bunch of Legos, and now we got Legos all over the podcast.
Well, you do this every time we do that. I mean, you this is not the first time you've dropped our podcast in something. So, I don't know why you're in charge of it.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That reaction hurts almost more than you being mad. Because at this point, you've just resigned to me being a failure. Oh, no.
Well, you set yourself up for that one.
Yeah.
You have dropped our podcast several times.
Yeah, it's almost as if I come up with contrived reasons to create scenarios in which we can talk about other animated movies.
Exactly.
Welcome back to another Toons, everybody. I'm Carter.
And I'm Sydney.
And, we've been through a lot.
We've been through a lot, yeah. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, because we've kind of gotten stuck in this, December winter glut of movies.
Yeah.
And because we've kind of committed to doing episodes dedicated to individual films...
We're way behind on our work.
Yes, we're behind. We're doing the Spider-Man one tonight. I don't care if it kills us.
Yeah, which it might, so, you know.
But we've decided... We are going to first talk about a movie that we saw a grand total of 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Was that 3 hours ago?
Not that long.
How long was that? Like maybe 2 hours of the movie?
A little under 2. And if you didn't pick up that I dropped the podcast in Legos, we're doing the Lego movie too. The second part.
The second part, yes.
Which, I'm going to be honest, I was not sold on this movie until they started calling it the second part. Because something about that title just tickled my tail a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess to be really quick, I don't know necessarily your relationship with the first Lego movie, but for me, I know it sounds crazy to call it life-affirming, the first Lego movie, but very much it came at a time when I was in a transitional phase of my life before college, and it kind of just affirmed to me, this is a medium worth preserving and working toward. Mm-hmm. It was, I've never seen anything like it. I've rarely seen anything like it.
Right.
It felt like a miracle. It didn't even feel like a film. It felt more of someone described the Chris Miller, Phil Lord films as experimental pop art, and it very much felt like that.
Feels right, yeah.
Like something that transcends its medium to become its own thing. Mm-hmm. And also, growing up, I loved Legos. That was one of my main things. I don't think we've actually talked about the first Lego movie that much.
Really? It's one of the things it's one of the many things we bond over is the Lego movie. But I feel like it came out before we even knew each other.
Honestly, I remember seeing it. It was right on the cusp of when we started hanging out.
Because senior year of high school is blurry, but I remember seeing it on Valentine's Day with one of my friends and I went to go to the movie theaters on Valentine's Day. By the way, mistake. Spoiler alert, don't go to the movies on Valentine's Day. If you can avoid it. Even a children's movie? Even a children's movie.
Yuck.
Yeah. Gross, right?
Yeah.
So, anywho. But I did. And it was opening weekend for that, too. So, and here we are at opening weekend near Valentine's Day.
5 years after.
Yeah, almost exactly 5 years after. Okay.
I have a beard now. That's weird.
Things are different, right? But I remember being obsessed with it and thinking it was the funniest movie I had ever seen in a long time.
It just consumes you.
Different humor. This is writing style, the script, and these ideas were so ambitious. I just thought this movie was so different than anything I had ever seen, and I didn't think no one around me really agreed or saw it that way. But I don't know, I feel like we've talked about Lego Movie a lot. Because I feel like we've just, joked about the... Well, we had to have, because we made an effort to go see Lego Batman, which I hated.
Yes, which I loved, she didn't love. That's interesting... Someday we can debate that. I hate it,
but I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it.
But, no, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people who are very, sort of disinterested in the Lego. Because, to be fair... It is wild that we have a franchise of Lego movies.
Of Lego
Not
things.
Just one, but an entire, sub-franchise.
But, I mean, I feel like I understand why people kind of brush it away. Just because it's if you, turn on Cartoon Network, there's all these, Lego TV shows.
Yeah.
There's all these Lego video games. Yeah. And, so I can see how someone could see this Lego movie and feel like those are affiliated.
I don't really remember what the energy was before it came out. But, I feel like it would have had to have been similar to the Emoji Movie, where people really, this is getting a movie.
Yeah. No, yeah, because that was, Lego Ninjago time. That was the era. Yeah. for Legos. Like, so it was.
Yeah.
So I don't think people were expecting this to be important art.
Yes, because, well, it sounds like basically, and the idea apparently came together in the most cynical way of, like, so it started with those Lego Star Wars video games, and then those became huge, so they made 100 of those.
Yeah.
And then apparently someone was like, well, what if we made a movie?
Yeah.
And then they brought on Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who at that point were mostly known for the animated series Clone High, which was about, like, historic figures being cloned and put in high school, and got basically kicked off the air because its depiction of Gandhi as an ADD-riddled kid was not well received, believe it or not. Oh, and I think they did 21 Jump Street, too, which was like, man, that's pretty good. And then this was sort of their big break of, like, oh, these guys are, like...
Artists?
Yeah. These guys are, like, serious creators now that we have to take seriously.
Okay, enough about the first one. Let's get back into the second one. So here we are, 2019.
We're back. After
It's
2 spin-off movies.
Yeah.
We're in it for real. It's time to get
the
serious.
second part.
Yes. But before we can say anything, we gotta talk about what it was like to actually watch this movie. And, like, I know, like, we've been talking, we're like, we gotta keep this under 30, right? Like, we gotta...
Yeah, I literally have a stopwatch going so we can watch, like, how many minutes in we are. So, but this is important to talk about.
Because you need to know what we do for you people.
Like, we have had a conversation about how, like, we just enjoy the experience of watching films in a theater setting, and like neither of us are like baller rich to like have our own home theaters, so
until one of us gets there,
we're going to, you know, the theater to watch these shows because we think we deserve to see them in these platforms. I was just saying, like, I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like, twice? And I was saying, like, I only want to watch this movie in this setting. I only want to view this. And so I feel the same way about, like, these all animated features, really. Like, and even Mary Poppins, I was like, I don't want to watch this at home. I want to watch this in this huge Dolby theater. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So here we are, sitting in, like, a theater. We got tickets. I got decent seats. And then we get there and the theater is, like, has the lights up.
Yeah, it's completely lit.
And this is like 10 minutes before the time. Like we're like, it was a 3:30 movie. We walk in around 3:20. The lights are on. I mean, there's people sitting in their seats. The lights are on. The screen is dark. There's nothing. It's just, like, it's...
Yeah, usually in our theater, they have, like, their, like, regal, like... behind the scenes stuff beforehand.
Yeah, with Maria Menounos or whoever. Like, yeah, they just do a bunch of, like, pseudo stuff.
And we weren't going crazy because other people were acknowledging how weird it was. We're looking at each other
like, what is happening? And then, the weirdest part is, like, one of the theater workers comes in because somebody, like, lost something. So he came in with, like, a flashlight to, like, help them, like, look under the seats. And when he was finished, he kind of looks around and he goes, what time was this movie? And we're all like, 3:30.
And this is when I finally check my watch and go, oh, it's 3:31 already.
Yeah, right. And he's like, oh, okay. And he like walks out, and then like things start happening finally.
Yeah, but, he I hear him like on a walkie-talkie, like, hey, why is the film not going? And then, throughout the entire movie...
Yeah, so the movie gets started, and we're having a great time.
Yeah, we're like, the first couple minutes of this movie...
It's like everything is awesome, right?
Yeah. And then someone just starts snoring. Yeah.
It's a burly man snore. It's like a sleep apnea snore. Like, you've got issues. Yeah. You
like the kind of snoring that damages one's relationship with their significant other.
Yeah, you don't sleep in the same bed as your wife, sir. We all know it. Like, because
we have evidence, damn it.
Because we can't
We're detectives.
To be in this theater with you right now. And like, he did it throughout almost damn near the entire film.
And this is bothering me because, again, these movies are really important to me. Like,
you have to absorb everything, or you will miss it. Like, if you blink, like, you'll miss something really important.
Yeah, this is the Lego movie. Damn it, we have to be on the right foot.
Exactly. Every little piece matters. Like,
and this sort of led us to a bigger discussion about, like, how weird it is that, like, our favorite thing on the planet is animated films. And yet...
Oh my god.
Well, you were the one who pointed this out.
That I was like, yeah, because when we were sitting there in light, and not in the dark, I was like, it was like, for two people who hate kids, we put ourselves in these situations where we're surrounded by them.
And they weren't even the problem this time.
No, they weren't.
But, so we survived all of that.
Yes,
yeah. You know what?
Was that.
It's time to stop putzing around. We got to get into this
Okay,
movie.
no, yeah, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is why we're here.
First things first, we're not going to go through the plot beat by beat this time.
No, go see it yourself.
Yeah, go see it yourself, because I think we'll both say we enjoyed it.
Yes.
Like, I thought it would be a more interesting idea to just talk about, like, the hook of this film. Because one of the reasons I didn't think we were going to get a sequel is because, like, the first one is built on such a great reveal that, like, changes your perception of the entire universe of the story.
Right.
That it feels weird to try and, like, put the genie back in the bottle.
Right, yeah.
Because if you remember, the first Lego movie ends where it turns out all of this is inside a kid's imagination. He's playing with his dad's Legos, who's a control freak. And the main plot of the story is basically him working through his, like, strained relationship with his dad.
Right.
And that gets solved through the power of imagination. And somehow it's not the most cynical thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like, buy these toys.
Yeah, essentially. It'll fix your...
Yeah, this will save your family.
Exactly.
But, so, this film, instead of, like, shying away from it...
further. Yeah.
Like, Lego Batman...
all the way deep in there.
Yeah, Lego Batman kind of dances around it.
Yeah.
This movie goes head first, let's get even crazier.
Yeah.
Because it's... The film's...
I would say like 20% of this movie is live action.
Yeah, a lot
Maybe
more.
more than that.
That's probably going to surprise people. There's a lot more live action in this one.
And it feels more like I feel like this movie gave me more of a sense that like this isn't so much imagination. Like this is straight up literal. Like everything that the humans literally do like is literally happening like to the characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it plays a lot with like you'll be in a live action moment, a ship will get picked up, and then it will cut to the animated bit.
Right, yeah.
And, like, you never quite get the fullest grasp of, like, what's real, what's imaginary, what is... I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I've seen a lot of critics, like, it's more confusing, but I'm like, I don't want the movie to hold my hand through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, this film starts literally right where the last one left off, where it's like...
Literally.
Yeah, it's like...
Like, seconds after.
Yes. And it's like, you know what's great about this? Your sister can play down here, too. Then the Duplo come in, and they initially try to start peace, only to have it kind of escalate quickly.
I think we need a moment just to talk about, like, the first 5 minutes of this film.
The first 5 minutes of this film sold me. I'm like, already, I'm happy.
Like, if you can make me, like, crack up laughing within, like, the first, like, 5, 6, 7 minutes, like, this is what sold me on Teen Titans Go. Is that, like, they came out, like, blazing with the jokes.
They're like, we can't afford to start slow. Let's just kick down the door and start firing.
Right, yeah, and this movie, like, just delivers right, like, fresh out of the gate. Like, there was not even time to even breathe. Like,
one of my favorites is, so Emmett decides, hey, let's try to be peaceful with the Duplo. So he builds a little Lego heart, which will be important later. And it gets, there's a TV feed.
Aliens.
Well, there's a TV feed that says, local insane person tries to talk to aliens.
Right.
And then, the Duplo chew it up, and they're having a very kiddish fight where, I think you mentioned this moment, like, Batman flies in with a batarang.
They were just nonsensical jokes. Like, first of all, okay, like, these Duplo, like, villain aliens are just, like, I don't know how I would feel about the Duplo. Like, I think I like their presence, but, like, I don't know how I would really feel about the baby voices, but I'm fine with them.
Yeah, like it fits what the characters.
But it just delivers these really, like, nonsensical jokes. Like, and they're just ridiculously funny. Like, we just cracked up laughing at this moment where, like, Batman, like, shoots a laser at one of the monsters, and the laser just bounces off him, and the monster's like, you missed me.
And Batman's like, yes, no, I didn't.
And it's just like, I don't know why that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great because, again, they're like, all right, we can't pretend this isn't a kid's plaything anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's make it even more kiddie than it already was.
Yeah, let's make them even more plasticky.
Yes.
Like.
And Wildstyle hits one of them with a hammer, and it reacts by screaming in a baby voice so shrill that it shatters all of the Lego glass in the vicinity.
And it does, like, they're real, like, babies. It's so weird because and I recently saw my, like, my little cousin do this, who's, like, 1 year old. Like, when a baby cries, there is, like, a moment of breath where they're, like, after, like, the impact happens, they take like, a couple seconds to go... And then, like, they fire this, like, banshee.
Yeah, it's literally like someone stepped on a mine, and you just have that minute where you hear it click, and you're like, oh.
That, like, this Duplo monster, like, did this, like...
Yeah, it just, again, first 5 minutes, just just joke after joke. We get to see
Oh
Will
my
Ferrell's
gosh.
President Business again,
Yeah.
and he just goes,
He offers, let's all be nice.
yeah,
And
let's
then
all
he's
be
like,
nice.
going golfing.
Yeah, he switches his outfit to like a little Lego golf outfit and drives off. Which I love, because in the logic, it's like, okay, so he fixed his relationship with his son, but he's still kind of a dope as a dad. Like,
he's terrible.
he's
Yeah.
kind of a dope.
Right.
And then it hard cuts to 5 years later. And that sort of gets us to our hook of, we're basically watching two different kids' imaginations clashing with each other.
Mhm.
The older brother and the younger sister. The younger sister has apparently been taking all of the colorful Legos, all of like the pinks and blues and reds and greens, like basically all the color. I don't want to use gendered terms, but like the more
Girly.
like more coded female stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And
All of
taking
like
them-
the quote unquote like girly colors.
Taking them upstairs. Meanwhile, the boy, who's now like 15-ish, like a
14,
teenager age,
yeah. Mhm.
he has leaned in hard at the idea of, this is an apocalyptic scenario. The town they all live in is now apocalypse burned.
Right, yeah.
Everything's like gunmetal gray and
Yeah.
dust brown.
Mhm.
Everyone has become the grittiest version of themselves.
Yeah.
Except Emmett, who's like
No,
kind
still
of,
everything's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
And that kind of becomes our hook of like, Emmett is this one kid, because
Right.
like all boys go through that phase where they're too cool for toys and they're like
Yeah.
edgy and dark.
Mhm. Right.
And Emmett is like the last vestige of like
Right.
the older version of this kid.
Exactly.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Where
so
are
that's
we?
kind of the hook.
Yeah,
And
so
like,
that's basically what's happening here. We don't want to give away too much.
yeah. And I just love that as a premise, because I was like, how do you make a Lego movie now? Like, you basically
Right.
did the thing you can do.
The
But
thing you can
Basically, they make it. I know this is going to be like a hot take, but it's really like a movie kind of about like, where toxic masculinity starts.
Yeah, no, like
Because
definitely.
It's still a kids movie, so they don't go too hard on this like teenage boy, but they make it out to be like he's a douche.
Yeah, oh, he really is.
Like,
yeah.
All the characters from the first movie are his voice. And so, like, Wildstyle's always complaining about, like, the pop music the aliens have.
Yeah.
He always refers to the sisters' characters as aliens.
Right.
Like, Batman... I love Batman has somehow... They openly acknowledge he's not learned the lesson he did from the last movie.
No.
Because in the Lego Batman movie, it was all about him, like, learning to have a family and be, like, complete and work through your trauma. And
no, his
like,
joke in this movie is that he just enjoys, like,
Yeah.
being scarred, like,
Yeah.
emotionally.
even though that you can tell the character doesn't quite believe that, he's like,
right,
yeah. I gave that all up.
Yeah,
I don't need
exactly.
it. I don't need to be complete.
I don't need to be healthy, yeah.
So it basically becomes this intergalactic war. The sister takes all of these characters to the Sistar system.
Sistar system,
which
yeah.
is...
Strange.
Yeah, and again, it's like, I love... The first film was vibrant and colorful, but this film is colorful.
Yeah.
And an example of how they, like, play with the different imaginations... This girl uses, like, fabrics and, like, strings to make, like, stars and stuff. Like, it's a
Right.
full diorama.
Right, yeah.
Compared to what is just,
Blocks, yeah.
Yeah, blocks on a table.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I am trying, like, I want to spoil so much about this movie, but, like, I feel like we've already given...
No need
yeah.
to. We've given away enough.
Yeah.
We told them what
And,
what
like,
the movie's about.
Like I said, basically, that's the hook of the movie.
Right.
Emmett is trying to get his friends back to prevent an apocalypse. I won't tell you what the apocalypse is called because that just gives the game away.
Right.
I like even the characters in the movie are like, oh, that's a little on the nose. But again, it is a kids movie for children.
Right.
And like I think kids will still be surprised of like, oh no.
Yeah.
About what the end game of all of
right.
this is.
Essentially, yeah.
So
they haven't seen enough movies to just
yeah,
know
they haven't,
what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and again, that was true about the first movie where it's
Yeah.
like they gave away enough of like the live action where like,
Right.
oh, I know where this is going.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, for like an 8-year-old, that's going to be like the spark
Mind-blowing.
moment that
Yeah.
inspires them to get into storytelling.
Right, yeah.
So
It's gonna be their iron. This
Yeah.
is their Iron Giant.
yeah, it's going to be their Iron Giant doing the
Yeah,
Superman as he
emotional
punches out a
stuff.
nuke.
Exactly.
So let's just get into like what we liked.
Okay, so let's talk about the obvious art style.
Yes.
I was just like stunned. I don't know like why. Just going throughout the entire movie from beginning to end, like I'm still surprised at these like moments. Like just when like the Duplo is going through their town like smashing things and it's just like the clear Legos like falling.
Yeah.
Like it's ingenious.
Or even like the stretch animations or explosions or
Yeah.
like damage is done with
Little those
Lego
pieces. Yeah.
action
Right.
is nothing short of extraordinary.
Exactly.
Pure technical wizardry. I think I even said that was like my first comment outside the movie where I was like, it is a testament to how brilliant this animation team is from Warner
Mhm.
Brothers
Right.
that despite seeing 4 of these now, just the process of movement
Yeah.
still
It's
awes
amazing.
me. Especially in this one, if anything, they go back to the roots of like animated Lego shorts.
Mhm.
Because this was inspired by like all of those YouTube channels who would make like little stop motion
Right.
animation.
Yeah.
Like just some of the angles they do, or like where they'll have like a top down of characters going through a vent. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is old school. They're taking
Right.
it back.
I also loved the moments like they would have these moments where they'd cut for like it would be like the son like carrying the spaceship and he'd be like pretending to fly it, like mixed with these moments of the spaceship actually being tied to a string
Yeah.
and having it like trek across the screen like that is just like it. Like why would they think that they can do that? But
right?
they can.
If anything, like having their sort of live action stuff started right away
Yeah.
gives them almost more creative freedom.
Right.
Where like, yeah, they can acknowledge like, oh, this ship is just flying. Or
Right.
like, oh, this person made water out of like fabric. And it just creates such like a brilliant arts and craft, because it's not just Lego anymore. At this point it's like a whole arts and crafts aesthetic.
Yeah.
And it just looks so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And one thing I really love with like the sense of motion and stuff, one, again, Chris Miller and Phil Lord are masters at just movement is funny. That's something that I feel like kind of got lost as we transitioned from hand drawn to CGI, because CGI is so much more like physical and
Yeah.
tactile.
Mhm.
But like just the process of a character flopping on the ground can be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they appreciate that.
Right.
Especially when we actually have a shocking amount of sequences where the animated characters are in live action, like moving.
The piece. Yeah.
And how they figure that how to do that, where like they can't quite move because the kid's not playing with them,
Right.
but like they have to make it work.
Right. Yeah.
Is just endlessly funny.
But like somehow these like little toys have their own strength and like
Yeah,
human
like
strength.
strength and like a soul.
There was a part little tiny spoiler where like these two characters are fighting, but it just shows the pieces banging together like
because they can't
face
move
to
their
face.
arms.
Yeah, so they're
They
just
can't move their arms.
smacking, but that's how you would play with it if you were holding them. Like
Yeah,
like,
they're literally just
they're just like boom, 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 boom. Yeah,
because in the
It's
animated world they can kind of play with like
Right.
the joints a little
yeah.
bit,
Mhm.
but they can't do that. Ooh, one thing before I forget, I wanted to bring up. We should say that while I keep referencing Chris Miller and Phil Lord, they are technically not the directors. They wrote it. The director was actually Mike Mitchell, who did DreamWorks Trolls, Sky High, and
Wow.
Shrek Forever After. So kind of a wide
No, Sky High
spectrum
is the
of-
only one that
yeah.
matters.
Yeah, Sky High.
Cancel all those other ones.
Yes. I mean, I don't hate Trolls. I like, again, Trolls is visually beautiful, and this
Sure.
is in the same camp in terms of
Mhm.
like, man, aren't arts and crafts just gorgeous?
But Shrek Forever After, if you
Yeah.
sign yourself up for that, I don't like. You want to put your name on that?
He might have really needed the money.
Okay.
Let's not be mean.
Okay. He really.
He might have been running out of money.
Yeah.
We don't know what
Yeah.
the early 2000s were like for him.
Shrek Forever After. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Again, it never ceases to amaze me how imaginative they can make these movies in
Yeah.
terms of just like, we have an unlimited budget and we're playing with toys.
Yeah. Mhm.
What can we do with that?
Everything. Yeah.
The logic of the film is kooky and messy and weird, but
Yeah.
it always seems to make sense in like that kiddish way of
Yeah.
like how characters behave,
Right.
how like worlds are visualized. There's a character, and he's been in the trailers, Rex Dangervest, and someone explained it well as if Emmett is Chris Pratt in Parks and Recreation and like before
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, this
Right.
is him after, where he's like a chiseled action star.
Exactly.
You know, he's been a cowboy like in Magnificent Eight, and a raptor tamer like in Jurassic World, and a
Right.
galaxy defender, and an archaeologist too, because everyone keeps saying he might be Indiana Jones someday. I love that logic, and this character is douchey teenage boy to the max, where he keeps
Right,
referencing,
stubble.
yeah,
Yeah.
he has stubble. He's always referencing Back to the Future or
Yeah.
like the Matrix. He's like, you want to go back in the Matrix? That's a cool
Yeah.
movie only adults get to see.
Right, yeah. Like this brings me into the transition into dislikes about this. I have issue with the presence of raptors.
What? That's the weirdest complaint we've ever had on this show.
Yeah, because it is too direct to Chris Pratt the person.
Yeah, I will say
It's too much.
It does create an interesting logical, like, does this
No.
kid live in a world where
No.
Chris Pratt exists?
Yes, he does. He has to,
Right.
because why are we playing with raptors?
Because he has a Lego of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, so they're in the real world.
He's got a Lego Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What's her name? Cheryl Swoops.
Yeah, Cheryl Swoops.
He's got he's got a Lego for Bruce Willis, apparently.
Some unidentified Seattle Sonics basketball player, which
Exactly.
Sweet deep cut, guys.
Yeah, honestly. And, like, there's no reason for this guy to be a raptor tamer if this was
Other
not a
than
direct link
reference-
to Chris Pratt's discography.
I mean, I agree, but at the same time, I like it because, like, teenagers love dinosaurs. So I could see, like, hell yeah, he has an army of
just like
raptors.
the fact that he's like
Specifically
trains
raptors,
them.
I don't know.
Specifically raptors. Like, why?
Not T-Rexes.
Why does he train them?
Or Stegosauruses.
Why does he get names for them? Like, it was like
Or
this
pterodactyls.
is too direct.
I love... They do such a good job in terms of the logic of the universe clashing, simultaneously giving the toys souls compared to, like, the two imaginations. Because when a lot of characters end up getting captured by the female side, well, they imply they're being brainwashed, but turns out it's
Basically.
like, no, they're not. They're just having a fun time.
Yeah.
They just like this better.
Right.
You know, they like being covered in glitter and having color and, like, just
That's
hanging
an
out.
interesting concept about masculinity,
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
right?
that maybe it's just fun
Yeah,
to play
like-
with glitter. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to reflexively hate these things. You might actually
Right.
enjoy them.
Yeah.
And which is some heady stuff for a kids film.
Yeah.
Like, we never had a kids film cover that kind of topic. That also brings me to another point I like. I like how often in sequels it's like the characters regress a little bit. Like, to a certain extent, Wreck-It Ralph, I'm like, I feel like we learned these lessons already.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's like,
did.
no, Emmett still went through all that change. Like,
Yeah.
he can still be a little tougher, and the big thing of, like, him learning how to be a builder is still there. Like, he's solving problems, he's, like, creating things.
Yeah, he learned to be a builder and also, like, when to destroy stuff appropriately.
Yes. Like, here's a good example. Like, his friends are about to get captured. He makes a triple-decker couch, and everyone's like, oh, Emmett. And then it turns out it's
That's
also a
funny
robot.
joke. And then, yeah, and then they're like, oh, Emmett. But then it gets destroyed again, and
It's
then
like,
they're like, no, Emmett. That was a funny joke.
Yeah. I feel like, again, one of the reasons we feel like this episode's going to be shorter is there's only so many times we can be like, we don't want to just spoil all the jokes.
No, yeah, because
could
the
just-
jokes are really important.
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, this is just a funny,
Yeah, that's
breezy
one of
film
the
with creative
biggest
imagery.
likes of this film, the jokes. And, like, this, you know what, it's funny because, like, the jokes are what ruined Lego Batman for me. I thought it was, like...
Really?
Because I felt it was too many of the same jokes style.
Right, like...
Boom, 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 boom. Rapid fire speed. They were all, like, punchline... like puns and jokes that were just like pop, 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 one after the other, and I just felt exhausted. Like I was like, this is not funny anymore. I'm tired. Like none of like it, like
I
feel
kind of
like,
agree with that.
You know
I
what I
can see
mean?
what you're
That's
saying.
why I really didn't like Lego Batman. Like I just felt it was like so not funny. It just kind of like leaned into like this SNL style like
Of
that's
like,
just like
yeah.
punchline, 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 punchline. And we're in the Lego movies, it's like just this wonderful combination of like under the breath comments,
Like
and
lengthy dialogue gags,
deep references,
deep cuts.
here's a punchline, someone falls and it's silly, and
slapstick.
like this is just nonsensical, and that's why that's funny. And
Like this is just funny because of like the proportions of this character can
yeah,
be funny.
exactly.
There's so few movies that have such a great variety of humor.
Mm.
I think humor-wise, this is pretty much on par with the first one in
Oh,
terms of like
yeah, and I'm
great
so
joke
relieved.
after great joke.
Yeah.
Like stuff I normally wouldn't laugh at. There is a musical bit involving a character that actually made me chuckle a lot. There's this prolonged physical comedy bit where people use the term butt. There's a joke about like kids not being able to swear that normally would have made me roll my eyes, but like they all work.
Right.
Let's see, what else do we want to say in the likes department?
I don't know. I liked the movie.
Yeah,
But it's not bad at all.
It's crazy that after like 4 movies, these Lego movies are already in like the Pixar category where it's like, oh, they're still fun, like lovable movies with a heart of gold. Cool. How are they compared to everything else on the market?
Right, exactly.
I love the ending. I won't spoil it.
No,
but they
we don't
do a
need to
lot
get
of really unique stuff that you
Yes.
wouldn't expect them to go to.
let's go into cast. Basically, Maya Rudolph's in it, and that's all that matters. So anyway, Maya Rudolph is one of the she plays a mom in this one, and and I appreciate, like, like, you're a comedian when it's like you don't have to tell a joke to, like, be funny,
Yeah.
like she just recognizing her right away, you're like, oh, it's Maya Rudolph, like, and she
Yeah.
doesn't even really tell any explicit jokes at all.
Yeah.
But it's like I still really enjoyed her being in this.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it somehow gets the same laugh it did when Will Ferrell actually shows up in the movie
Yeah.
without the setup. Because,
Right.
like, you have Will Ferrell's voice as, like, a Lego character.
Yeah.
So then when you see it, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Whereas this didn't have that setup advantage. And I'm still like,
No. She just appears. Yeah.
I'm just still like, huh.
Right. We
Like,
have
again, the main cast still rocks. Like, Chris Pratt.
Chris
Like,
Pratt
this
and-
might
and
be my
great.
favorite role of his, honestly.
Right, yeah.
Like, his voice is just inherently silly.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth Banks, we were actually having a
We
discussion.
were just talking, like, who is this generic woman?
Like,
who is this person?
she's cool. It's just, I don't recognize her voice.
No, yeah.
I love what they do with Wild Style in this movie in terms of, they play with the idea that she wasn't always this sort of, like,
This, like,
grim, dark rebel.
Right.
And, like, that serves as sort of the emotional growth of the kids.
Mm-hmm. So, like, Tiffany Haddish is in this movie. And
Yes.
Tiffany Haddish is currently everywhere. She's kind of, like,
And I'm
the
not
it
as familiar
girl
with her
right now,
as you
which is
are.
interesting because I feel like she's literally, like, everywhere. Like, she was, like, the it girl of 2018 with, like, Girls Trip and all the other comedies that she was in. And she's been on sitcoms. Like, I think people just had really slept on her until Girls Trip. But so now she's in this movie too, and doing her Tiffany Haddish thing. And all of her characters seem to be levels, like, on a scale of just this one character. You know what I mean? Like, she is Tiffany Haddish. And then all of the characters that she plays, all these roles are just, like, on a scale of severity of Tiffany Haddish-ness. Whereas, like, Girls Trip was probably, like, the most extreme Tiffany Haddish, and this would be the most mild Tiffany Haddish. She is just this, like, one-point character. Like, this is who she is. It's definitely, I would call it typecast. Yeah. I don't know if you watched, like, the Cleveland Brown show. I don't know why. But, like,
honestly,
what was her
my
name?
hot take is
Auntie
it's
Mama?
actually not bad.
No, I love the Cleveland Brown show. I love the Cleveland
regardless.
show. You remember Auntie Mama from She's Outrageous and she, like, farts or something. But it's like, if you just want, like, a black girl to do a black girl thing, then, like, Tiffany Haddish was being cast to do the black girl thing.
Yeah.
For all of 2018, and it made her, like, a huge star, and she is extremely talented, and she's so funny, and I love her presence. But it's proving that to be, like, the only role that we are recognizing her in, and I think she has a lot more. But I feel like
it's wasting her potential.
Are we really gonna take her? Like, is she gonna reach a point where we won't take her seriously?
Yeah.
If she wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And this role, just, like, this was just another one of those roles on the Tiffany Haddish scale of like, I do this black girl thing.
Yeah, which is especially a problem because while Girls Trip was a diverse movie created by diverse people, like, a lot of the movies she's being cast in now are primarily white casts with white creators.
And we need a black girl to come in
so
and
she
do
will
a
be
black
the
girl
one
thing.
black person.
Yeah, right. And be loud and, like, and talk with her whole body and her neck and have these jokes and, like, and clap back at people and, like, and say funny, like, one-liners. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame.
And be extra. Like, and that's what she's been doing. That's how she's been serving.
Yeah. Which is a shame because I actually really do like her character.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a fun... I like the conception of...
Right.
She's, like, several Lego blocks who can kind of shift.
That can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's essentially like this shape-shifting thing.
Which captures, like, oh yeah, these are toys. You can do whatever you want.
Whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
However, like, and I mean, her character was really cool for the story. It was very interesting for the story, but the whole time, like, I was just hearing, and whereas I was like, who's Elizabeth Banks? Like, not like I knew who Elizabeth Banks was, but it's like when I'm watching this, I'm not thinking about Chris Pratt or Elizabeth Banks or, like, but this movie, I was really just experiencing Tiffany Haddish, and I'm, like, in my brain, like, I'm just seeing a Tiffany Haddish person on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of the counter of that, Will Arnett has one of the most distinct voices on the planet, and yet when he does Batman, I'm like, oh, that's not Will Arnett, that's Batman. That's Lego's
Batman.
That's the Lego Batman. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not as qualified to talk about it as you because I have not seen Girls Trip or most of her movies.
Right.
But Yeah, but ultimately the character is very creative, and I do
It
love the
is.
song they give her.
Oh yeah.
They give her a villain song of sorts, where she's insisting she's not a
She's
villain,
not a villain, but
but
it
the
sounds
tone of it is
suspiciously like
very
she's
alarming.
totally a villain. Yeah.
Yes, it is very creative. I love it. 10 out of
Yeah.
10.
Great.
Great song. They got to push that for the Oscars.
Yes.
Um, in terms of the rest of the cast, again, they have Charlie Day as Benny. They don't let him do anything, even though they're in space. Like, he makes a bunch of jokes about, like,
Being an
more
astronaut, and
spaceships.
that's all. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
which
his
I love.
shtick.
And then he's like, but there still aren't enough spaceships.
Yeah. But this
Um,
person is just like he's kind of sick a little.
yeah, he needs to talk to someone.
He needs to talk to someone. Nick Offerman.
Yeah, most of the cast is back. Channing Tatum's Superman again. Jonah Hill's
Hill.
Green Lantern. I love that pairing. I just love it.
Yeah.
Apparently they did. We had a discussion about whether or not they would bring Gal Gadot to do
No.
Wonder Woman. They brought Colby Smulders back for some reason. I do not know why. There's a great bit where there's 3 different versions of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, yeah.
There's the blocky one. There's like the slender figure
For
Lego.
girls, yeah.
The 4 Girls brand of Lego, which we'll get
and
to.
then there's some sort of
The
baby
Duplo-y
version.
one who's
who's
talks in a
huge.
baby voice.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's
alright.
bigger than them. Like,
You know, they got Jason Momoa to do his like very broy Aquaman, which I love
Yeah.
because it works in the logic of like, of course a 15-year-old would see Justice League and be like, yeah, the version of Aquaman who's like, my man.
yeah, is
And,
the only one. Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, generic Aquaman gets left behind on the adventure, which is one of the funniest bits I love, where there's just a regular Aquaman just like, so things we don't like.
Okay. So like I was almost the snoring guy in the theater. Like I nodded off in the middle of this because there was a part in this film that I was like, do we need to be doing this? Like this is just kind of filler stuff. I feel like a lot of time was wasted on
I do
nothing
agree.
important. Yeah.
There's a second song from Tiffany Haddish that felt like, I'm like, you just wanted an extra song, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like someone started writing this.
Yeah.
And it is a bit padded. And a part of that's because I felt like they were playing with a lot of like more experimental things. But even then I'm like, you don't need to keep setting this up. You can like go. There's a great twist, like hook, twist, punch. But I feel like they drag it out.
Yeah.
So then when it hits, and it's really affecting, I'm kind of like, well, I knew that was going to happen. Why did you
Yeah.
feel the need to like
to tell me about it
have the
before.
extra 10 minutes
Yeah.
in between? Again, brevity is the spice of life.
Yeah, essentially.
One thing that kind of bothers me about the movie is I love that it's playing in this sort of big pool, talking about like how imagination is often gendered and how like a character at one point literally says none of this is real, this is a metaphor for a 14-year-old growing out of his imagination.
Yeah.
And like, but at the same time they never addressed that in many ways Lego has helped perpetuate this
that.
pink versus blue aisle.
Right.
And I know, like, to the point where most of the female Lego characters are the slender models that they made. Like, the Disney princesses, all of them are designed in
Right.
that sort of, like, curvy.
Yeah.
They don't have legs,
Mrs.
they just have a
Butterworth's
little
thing.
platform.
Yeah.
So they hop. And I know why they didn't bring it up, because, again, this movie, like, makes fun of Legos, but in a sincere way.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating, though, again, because they have so many great ideas that talk about, like, the gendered aspect of this. Like, one of Rex's whole thing is instead of being a master builder, he's a master destroyer who, like, knows the right spot to hit a Lego to shatter it.
Right, yeah.
Honestly, that's my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
It runs into the sequel problem where a lot of the supporting cast from the first one kind of just gets forgotten. Like, Metalbeard and Unikitty are there, but they don't do anything.
Not anything very important.
Yeah. But that's true about most movie sequels. Like, again, Wreck-It Ralph 2, like, set up this entire subplot for Calhoun and Fix-It Felix that just doesn't happen.
Exactly.
That we just forget about until the last 5 minutes of the movie. So that's not a problem special to this movie. Yeah, for me, I guess the biggest problems I have are just, like, I want them to tackle more. Because it shoots... Like, I never thought I'd see a movie shoot higher than the first Lego movie, but it does. And that, like... I guess the challenge with that is it makes you wanting even more.
Right, yeah.
Like, in many ways, this movie... Someone described The Godfather 2 versus The Godfather 1. And I know I'm comparing the Lego movies to The Godfather, but shut up. These are important pieces of art, too.
Yeah,
God
no, this is
damn it.
relevant. Yeah, this matters.
Where it's like... The Godfather 2 is way more ambitious. Like, it's like 2 generational time stories, like, interweaving. And it's, like, more intense, and it has more to say. And it's more thematically rich, and it's, like, more... just bigger and better. But at the same time, if someone references something from The Godfather, it's always the first one. Like
Of course,
the
yeah.
catchphrases, the lines,
Yeah.
the zingers, the bits. And I'm worried that in many ways this feels like the same thing.
Really?
Like the first Lego movie's more restrained, which isn't
It
a
is.
great word for the Lego movie because again, these movies
agree
are
with that.
anarchy.
Right.
Like psychedelic pop anarchy.
I agree.
And it seems like I don't want to say people agree, but like this movie is underperforming at the box office.
Is it already?
Yeah, there's like it came in 25 million under expectations. And again, like it's like again,
I felt
there's
like
more
it wasn't
movies.
advertised the same.
Yeah, they didn't push it as hard.
No.
Maybe it's a little bit of franchise fatigue. It'll still make money. Like, don't worry. No one's
Yeah.
gonna lose their job. No one's gonna
Right.
get fired over this.
Yeah.
But it's just underperforming.
Hmm.
But again, like for what it's worth, for two two people who really love animation,
Right.
it's still like a beautiful, thoughtful, fun
I wanna
piece of
see it
family
again.
entertainment. I
Right.
absolutely do too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess
I
that
think
pretty
that's
much covers
about
it up.
Wow.
I mean, thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
Don't
Thanks for coming.
don't let your teenage inclinations toward angst and anger
exactly
block you from the full spectrum of emotions and creative understanding.
Exactly.
And until next time, I'm Carter,
And I'm Sydney.
and those were the Toons.
Thanks.
Quick amendment to the episode. I kind of got stumbled and like bungled when we were talking about things I don't like because I was trying to remember this. The song that replaces Everything Is Awesome in this one is called This Song's Gonna Get Stuck Inside Your Head. And like it's a good song and it's fun, but it's a little too on the nose. Like Everything Is Awesome is like people can identify as satire, but it also works on its own as just like a fun song. Whereas this I'm like the lyrics are all satire. It's not
Everything Was Awesome was meant to be a radio song.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like
where this is a meme.
This is a meme, yeah. Like, and all of the songs on this soundtrack, I feel like were memes. Like you know, the songs that aren't sung by characters, like that song, and then the credit sequence song at the end, also a meme.
Which isn't terrible,
Right.
but like it's just different.
Did we acknowledge the Larry Poppins joke in Lego? In the Lego 2 movie?
Damn it.
We have to re-record the whole thing.
No.